gonna be a good day. Hello, St. Rose. Thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of St. Rose Rocks, music for the Golden Knights by the Golden Knights. And we have a special Golden Knight here with us today. We have fantastic guitarist in his own right, and here to talk about his band back home, we have Drew Pelrine. Drew, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to be a part of this. It was kind of funny. The moment I put out the initial promotion for this, you were like, hey, can I get on this? And I'm like, heck yes. That is the kind of hunger that we appreciate here on this show and at St. Rose.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the opportunity. No, I've definitely been wanting to get some more exposure out in the Albany area for this band, because it's like my main musical endeavor outside of school. But yeah, thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, not a problem. So could you tell everybody what you're studying and what your concentration is in it?
Yeah, I'm currently a music industry student, finishing up my sophomore year. My primary instrument's guitar.
And if you haven't seen this guy play guitar yet, trust me, it is something you need to put on your bucket list. Holy crap, can this guy shred?
Thank you so much, yeah.
Which one was it? It was the Woodstock ensemble that we did together. And
yeah, that was last semester.
Boy, the way that you and Sean McNair shredded through that Jimi Hendrix song was incredible.
Oh, yeah. Sean's amazing. Love playing with that kid. Yeah.
And so are you. Give yourself plenty of credit as well. You guys, like, the two of you guys really melted everybody's face that night.
Yeah, we got to play a little Purple Haze, which was fun because I hadn't really gotten to play any Jimi Hendrix covers like in front of a crowd before, so that was nice. Good time.
Certainly was a good time. So you wanted to come on and talk about your band from back home. Could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I am the rhythm guitarist and vocalist for Acheron, like a desert rock, proto metal type band. We started as a band in 2017. Me and one of my best friends, Gabe Haidar. Him and I went to high school together, and we both kind of just were into a lot of the same bands, some old school metal. The Black Sabbath was a big one, and we just kind of wanted to like get in on the scene, I guess. And we did a performance at our high school senior show. We played War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and the reception to that was really positive. Everyone got a lot out of it, had a good time. So we had a senior project that we had to do, and we recorded like an EP, and that's kind of like what started this whole thing. And we all went to school freshman year, came back, finally solidified our band's lineup, and we put out our debut record, Age of the Monolith, that came out in September. And we've just kind of started to get the ball rolling, taking it out live, playing some places back in January. We got to play one of our first actual shows in Salem, Massachusetts, which is right next to our hometown. And yeah, hopefully in the future we'll be able to come out to Albany, get some maybe something DIY, I don't know, or fused box, low beat kind of thing.
Definitely. Now, what's it like for you guys being a band but not being together all the time? Because you guys are all in different places in different schools during most of the year, right?
Yeah. Gabe goes to BU. Our drummer Troy, I believe, is doing some classes at North Shore Community College. So what we mainly do, me and Gabe are kind of the primary songwriters up until this point. So me and him will just trade off, we'll record some demos just while we're at school, or even if it's just a voice memo on a phone, texting it back and forth, and then we'll just video chat or text about it. And we'll also just send songs back and forth to each other, reference tracks. Be oh, this riff is really cool, we should do something like this, or whatever we can get ideas bouncing off each other. And then when we eventually get a school break or something, we'll come back together and try to work together actually in the same room on that material that we share back and forth. And everything's kind of just okay, keep it in the folder or whatever, just keep it in your back pocket. And then once the summer rolls around, that's when we'll really get cracking on stuff. Because that's what we did throughout most of my freshman year is we were just like, we knew we wanted to come back and do a full length because we had done the EP before. So we would trade back riffs, and then once we all got out of school in May, we just like hit the ground running with it. And it took like the whole summer to get done. I was like doing some of my final vocal tracks like a couple days before coming to start school again back in August. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I think one thing's for sure, that's a great testament of what we can still do regardless of the distance. And I think that's a message that all of us need to hear right now with being kind of all separated. But then also the time and the quality that really goes into putting something like this, and how you guys spent that much time together doing it. That's really impressive.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely like, it's one thing like having everybody like practice parts individually. But then when you all come back together in the room, some little things just like don't always work out exactly the way like it does when you're practicing to the record. So like it's also important to like preserve what you can of that band dynamic, and like having everybody just be ready to come back in the room together.
So Drew, could you tell us about the first song that you're going to be showing us today?
So I could talk a little bit about the opening track on our album, River of Woe. That's one of the songs that we spent the most amount of time on. So like basically the concept behind that song is we wrote it after figuring out our band name Acheron, and that derives from Greek mythology, and it's a river that the souls of people that have died are guided down into the afterlife, essentially. And a lot of what that has to do with is the way they live their life, here in life. When it comes to that time that they have to be guided down that river, basically reflect on themselves and what they've done in their life. And I wanted to just kind of explore a little bit of Greek mythology and relate it to music in a way, which was kind of cool. And the way that song kind of unfolds, it is kind of like a story in a way. And we just wanted to make some like long epic to like open up the record. And it's a really dynamic song, which I really like, because it goes from like some really cool like ethereal like clean parts, a lot of reverb, kind of like soundscape, and then it comes in, just starts with some heavy riffs, get the metal heads going, and then like once the solo bridge section comes in, that's really one of my favorite parts to play live with Gabe, because his solo over that is one of his best for sure. We usually close out our live sets with that song, and it's a really, really good time because me and him get to do a lot of like harmony parts, and I'm a big fan of all that like dual guitar stuff, kind of like Iron Maiden.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool how, for the record, you wanted this to start off and you think it's a great intro, but then for all your shows, you think it's a great way to end it. That's interesting. That's pretty cool. For you guys now to listen to, this is River of Woe by Acheron.
All right, my friends. This is the first song off of our debut record, Age of the Monolith. This is a song called River of Woe.
So Age of the Monolith is the record, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And could you tell us specifically what was some of the writing process that you guys went into in creating that record?
When we started writing the record, we spent a lot of time conceptualizing like what the songs were going to be about. And one of the defining moments of that was me and Gabe sat together and watched Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Great movie,
Great
way
film.
ahead of its time. Like predicted the future basically in some ways. But so like that's where we got the whole like Age of the Monolith thing, was because in the beginning of that movie it starts like when there weren't humans yet, and like it's like a bunch of primates, and they find this like alien monolith, which is just like what you see on the album cover almost. And they go up to it and they start like looking at it, and like there's all this like creepy music, and like and they start like they just like hold their hand up to it and they touch it, and then all of a sudden they gain some kind of like sentience from it, and they start picking up like bones and stuff from the ground, and they start using it as tools. So like that movie like kind of like that's how they accredit like all of human evolution is like from this alien influence. So I kind of like my weird imagination I took from that. I was like, wow, that monolith kind of looks a lot like a cell phone, like a square, like a black square. And like we in society are surrounded by monoliths. We're surrounded by screens that in some ways like enslave us as a society. And that's like a lot of the themes that we kind of went into on the song Space Monolith, which is the second track on our record. And like I just wanted to explore like what people take in from all this technology that we're surrounded by, and like how it affects us as people, and like our relationships with other people. I just thought that was kind of like an interesting concept to explore, and then kind of connect it to 2001, which is like one of my favorite films, and Kubrick's one of my favorite directors. And we just thought it was like a powerful commentary on the whole thing, like our society in 2020. And we also have written a little bit about like just human consciousness itself. We talk a little bit about that in our song Altered Mind, which is also on the album. That song is a little bit just about, you know, thought patterns and like human consciousness mainly, and like what happens when those states of consciousness are altered and you are able to unlock different, you know, patterns of thought and different ways of thinking. It's just like it's just a way to be like open to everything, and different just different viewpoints, different areas that you come across in life.
Especially right now, we're totally in a whole different viewpoint than we had been before. Maybe not exactly what you're going for, but I think that's a very similar message nonetheless.
Yeah, it's applicable, definitely applicable.
So Drew, can you tell us about the last song that you're going to be showing us today?
Yeah, sure. So the next song is going to be The Nomad, which is the last song on the record. And this was an interesting song because it came together from a lot of different places. We had a lot of different ideas that were kind of just like on the back burner for like the whole writing process, and we knew it was going to be the last song. So it was originally going to have lyrics, and I actually wrote out a lot of different lyrics for it, but we were crunching for time, and I also just like wasn't really at a point where I was like, I can't really like figure out exactly what I want to do over this vocally. And I knew that I really enjoyed like the music part of it, so I just wanted to leave it instrumental. And what's cool is that song we feature a little bit of like almost funk influence at the end section of the song, where like the last like minute and a half to 2 minutes of the song just sound like nothing else on the record. And we just thought that it would be a cool like kind of way to like bring it down back to the ground with just changing it all up, you know, flipping and doing a total 180. Yeah, that's a really fun part for us to play, like, and also it was good for us to be able to explore some of that as musicians, to be able to just do something different a little bit. yeah, that song is, we just started playing that live. We had like a little bit of a little house show for some friends a couple weeks back, almost a month now, and got to play that live for the first time, which was fun.
That's really cool. And it sounds like it's a really dynamic thing for one, the people listening, but also for you guys being able to get to perform that and also learn and grow as musicians. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So the last song that you guys are going to be hearing tonight, this is The Nomad by Acheron. Drew, again, thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate having you. Thank you for your interest so much. Can you tell everybody where they can find Acheron's music?
Yeah, so we have a BandCamp page. So all of our social media is Acheron Doom, as like one word. So like the BandCamp would be acherondoom.bandcamp.com. And then we're on Spotify, Apple Music. The best way to find it is just like type in Age of the Monolith, Acheron. And we're also recently we just joined Quadio, which is a really cool platform for college students, where it's also kind of like a social networking, like streaming service in a way. So like you upload your tracks, and then like people that want to either collaborate with you or like put a show together can like find you and like contact you through there, which is cool. We were reached out by their A&R rep, and we got to upload a couple of songs while they were still in beta access. But now they have like an app and stuff now, and it's open to the public. You just need like a .edu email address. I think it would be definitely a useful tool for people to like collaborate with each other, and find some new people in the area that they may not have like gotten to meet.
That sounds really cool. So any musician out there that's looking to help collaborate, check out Quadio. Yeah. And then if you just need some good music to listen to, check on Acheron and Age of the Monolith.
Yeah, dude.
Drew, again, thank you so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of St. Rose Rocks. As always, I have to thank Student Development, Student Association, the St. Rose Marketing Team, and the college in general. You guys are the reason that St. Rose rocks. I'm glad that we get to spend some time.